What are war crimes? According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, a war crime is an action carried out during the conduct of war that directly violates accepted international rules of war. The two countries that are widely regarded as having some of the worst war atrocities in World War II are Japan in the Pacific Front and Nazi Germany in the European theater. Today we look at how these two countries rectified their atrocities of World War II and how it now affects relationships with their neighbors. Before we dive into this, let's look at some of the war crimes committed by Nazi Germany, which includes the mass murder of Polish civilians, deliberate bombing of civilians, the massacre of Polish POWs, the murder of 3 million Russian POWs, the rape of the Poles, widespread plunder and theft, slavery and human forced labor, human experimentation, biological warfare, and of course the systematic extermination of Jews in the Holocaust. Let's also look at what was described as the Asian Holocaust, Imperial Japan's war crimes, which include attacks on neutral powers, mass killings, mass murders of POW, human experimentations of biological warfare, the use of chemical weapons, torture and prisons of war, rape of Nanking, cannibalism, forced labor, comfort women, looting, and perfidy. It's clear to see that both these countries have committed clear evil. It is also easy to imagine how something like this could negatively affect their relationship with neighboring countries. Yet, when we compare these two countries, we find that in fact, they have near polar relationships with their neighbors. Germany's being more positive, and Japan's being more negative. I believe this is not to the level of crime, but rather how they made amends to these atrocities. This raises the question, based on the way most European countries apologize for the war crimes and atrocities they committed in World War II, should Japan do the same? When comparing Japan to other countries in World War II that had committed major human rights violations, Japan has not done enough to fully recognize and apologize for their horrific acts, provide a solitude to victims, acknowledge their harmful past, and prevent ever such occurrence from happening again. Before we look into how Japan handled foreign affairs after World War II, let's establish a baseline. Germany. Prior to Germany being the world superpower it is today, it was still a world superpower. At the start of World War II, Nazi Germany was hungry for what was called living space, or as we call it, world domination. Nazi Germany swiftly took over most of Europe with the effective and brilliant military tactic, Blitzkrieg. Yet behind closed doors, the Nazis started to pile up quite the list of war crimes, as previously stated. Yet most notably, the Holocaust, which killed 11 million people in total and 6 million Jews. Once the war ended and Germany was defeated, the world pulled back the curtains to reveal what was going on. Simply said, the world was in shock. Soon after came the Nuremberg trials, which was an attempt to dig up the evil roots of Germany, especially those who were responsible for the Holocaust. However, these trials are often seen as ineffective, did not do enough. Regardless of the ineffectiveness of the Nuremberg trials, Germany is now one of the most loved European countries, despite 75 years ago being the most hated European country. So if it weren't for the punishments after the war ended, how did Germany go from the most hated European country to one of the favorites? Well, it becomes clear if you look at the data. According to a Japanese newspaper, 94% of Germans believe they have a good relationship with their neighbors, and 73% of Germans believe this is because of their apologies after World War I. This is also because of what the government of Germany has done in order to rectify what happened in World War II. The German government has made government-funded Holocaust museums in order to teach the young kids about the Holocaust and what happened and why it should never happen again. Furthermore, the German government has issued countless apology statements to all the families that are affected by the Nazis' atrocities. Because of this and all the continuous support the Germans have had for all the countries they took over in World War II, it is easy to see why Germany is now one of the favorited countries of Europe. However, on the complete opposite side of the spectrum is Japan, who in World War II was the most hated Asian country by other Asian countries, and 74 years later is still the exact same. The most hated Asian country by other Asian countries. And this is exactly what the data shows us. According to a Japanese polling site, IC Polling, a mere 46% of Japanese citizens believe their relationships with other countries are good. Additionally, a putrid 1% of South Koreans believe Japan has sufficiently apologized for military actions against them. Furthermore, a puny 4% of Chinese civilians believe Japan has sufficiently apologized for what they did in Nanking. According to Greenhaven Press, the largest reason for anti-Japanese Semitism in Korea is due to Japan's inability to apologize for the use of millions of Korean comfort women and the hundreds of thousands of conscripted Korean men used as slaves for the Japanese army. Furthermore, in 2017, when the newest edition of Japanese history textbooks rolled out, They accidentally failed to mention the over 300,000 deaths in Nanking Massacre of 1937, and it skipped the fact that as many as 400,000 Chinese girls and women were taken from their families and made into comfort women and prostitutes for the Japanese army. With all this covering up and avoiding the truth, it begins to become clear to see why Japan can never become another Germany. Because in Prime Minister Merkel's words, Germany calls things by their name.